Who else is here though? I'm not finding them.
Who?
Oh, there's Jane. Hi, Jane. I forget about those little blue arrows up there and I got to keep scrolling to get everybody. Hi, JL. Hi, Valerie.
Hi.
Okay. All right. Okay, Janice, we're calling the meeting to order. Good to see everybody. We had our last meeting in September. So nowadays, you know, with the Zoom calls, we're meeting, I think, every other month. So everybody, welcome to our meeting for November. And let's start with the flag salute. And Supervisor, would you like to lead us?
Oh, certainly. Please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of
the United States of America
United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Supervisor.
My pleasure.
Okay. So we'll go on to next item, adoption of the agenda. Now, I understand Jane sent those additions to the, the agenda. Sorry, I jumped to the minutes. Okay. Okay, anybody want to make a motion to accept the agenda?
I move that we accept the agenda.
I second the motion.
JL seconds it. Okay. So Janice will take a roll call vote for that. Janice? Sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry. I know Alon is here. Alon, can you raise your hand so I know which one you are so I can unmute you?
Maybe he's just still on the phone.
He's on, I just don't know which person he is.
Alon, where are you?
On to unmute himself, he has to dial what?
No, I mean, I can unmute everybody if you want.
I think it starts.
Okay. Is that you, Alon? I've unmuted someone.
I'm here by phone call. I just got unmuted.
There you go.
I don't know how to raise a hand on the phone.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm here by phone.
You're on the phones, but we got you. Okay. So Jane.
I'm on the phone number by the. Okay.
Yeah, got you now. So Seema. A roll call. Aye.
Yeah.
Jane Nye.
Yes.
JL Diaz.
Aye.
Janice Smets.
Here.
Alon Quickstein.
Here.
Aye. Alon?
Here.
Great.
Okay. So we've adopted the agenda. Let's go on to the meeting minutes from September 9th, 2020. Are there any comments or any discussion on the meeting minutes? So Jane, you added those things to the minutes from the one you sent to Jan, is that right?
I just typed up my comments so it would be easier for her to include.
Okay. Okay. Anybody have any discussion on the minutes? No? Okay. No. Anyone like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from September?
I move that we approve the meeting minutes from September.
Okay, I'll second it. So we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote.
Seema Chandra?
Yes.
Jane Nye?
Yes.
Janice Smets? On the minutes?
She's
sorry.
muted.
You're unmuted. There, you're unmuted.
Oh.
She didn't. Okay. I've asked you to there you go. JL Diaz.
There you go.
Aye.
Okay, Janice Metz and Alon Quickstein.
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. All right. So we have approved the meeting minutes. Let's go on to public safety reports. And I know we're fortunate today to have both the CHP and the Sheriff's Department here. And let's start with the CHP. Who do we have, officer?
Hello, today is Lieutenant Mike Logie, the commander of the CHP Moore Park area.
Oh, okay, great. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Yes, you're welcome. Glad to be here. So thanks for having me. Today's brief will be short, but I just want to emphasize a couple of issues. So first thing we looked at was collisions for the Oak Park area. We've only had 2 minor traffic collisions, property damage only. In other words, nobody got hurt since September 1st. And those are all in September, so that's a good thing. So we've gone a couple of months accident-free, so that's a good trend. The second thing is there's a few traffic complaints that come out of Oak Park area regarding parking issues and things like that. And I just want to reassure the board and the community members there in Oak Park that we are working diligently to resolve those issues as peacefully and as cooperatively as possible. It seems to be typical vehicles parking without permits or staying past 72 hours, things of that nature. But most of the issues have been resolved without any undue action on our part. People are usually compliant once we go out and talk to them, so that's a good thing. And I would just like to close out just a couple of minor points. We have a new Highway Patrol Commissioner. Her name is Amanda Ray. She's the first female African-American commissioner in the Highway Patrol's history. She started yesterday, or excuse me, on the 17th, which was Tuesday. So we are very proud to have her as our new leader. And I think she'll do great things for the Highway Patrol and, of course, the communities that she serves. The final thing I'll touch on is holiday safety. So first of all, I hope everybody has a happy holiday season, but we would like to remind folks and to remind communities to make sure they drive safely, to drive safe and sober, to remain undistracted while they drive so they can enjoy their families and make it to their destinations safely. And with that, that concludes my report. And unless anybody has any questions for the CHP Moore Park area.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lieutenant. Any MAC members have any questions?
No.
No. Oh, JL, did you say no?
Yes, I
No
do.
question.
Okay, Janice, go ahead.
Yes, I think this is the place to bring it up. We've been getting catalytic converters stolen. We even had, I think, just over the line to Agora, we had a car stolen. And we've had some robberies. And so I wanted to look into the possibility and the probability of just putting up 2 cameras out of Oak Park on Canaan before you get to either end of the malls in order to see what, if we needed to see what cars have left the area and from Oak Park. And I was looking at Canaan, I drove it up and down, and there's a place just before the mall on Lindero and just before you get to TO, because those are the only 2 ways that you can leave Oak Park. And I do not know the expense of the camera and what kind of camera, but I would like to look further into that and ask Alan to assist. You know, Alan is doing the traffic right now, to see what it would take, because I'm willing to even ask for a bond if I need to with Supervisor Park's assistance, because I feel that it's getting, we are in a very good location because we have natural boundaries. We have our mountains. We have just these cul-de-sacs. We have natural boundaries to a park.
Can I interrupt a moment, Janice? Just to say that the CHP is state, so they don't do cameras. That would be our sheriff's department.
Oh,
and
it is.
It is also a coming agenda item, I believe, is it not? So something to discuss. So
where do you want it in the agenda?
I believe that's for consideration on your agenda or for future agendas, but it's just, but it wouldn't be the CHP officer.
Okay.
So it'll be just for future discussion.
We put on the future agenda.
On the agenda. Because
Right.
I did ask Jen to do that before this meeting. And she said that she would bring that up.
If the MAC members want to have that discussion, the MAC can make that decision, but it's not on it right now, right? So it's something that the MAC has to say, hey, we want to look at that, and then we can talk about it and actually have a discussion, but it would not be the CHP. So I just want to
Okay.
make sure
Okay.
the officer knows.
Thank you for correcting me. I needed that.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think we're done with
So before we close though, can ma'am, I would just like to say on the general issue, and I'm sure our senior deputy will feel the same, I will definitely advise our patrol units to pay more attention when they're going through that area, look for suspicious activity as they usually do, but I'll remind them to be extra vigilant. I surely can sympathize and empathize with your plight, and nobody wants to be burglarized or victimized in any way, so we understand that. And I think Supervisor was very on point regarding camera application, but we can still do our part to help pay more vigilant attention to patrols and keeping an eye out for activity where we can make an impact. And of course, if citizens see things, please say something so we can react as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Appreciate you bringing that forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're done with the CHP report. Thank you. And we'll move on now to the sheriff's report. Sheriff, deputy?
Hi, Senior Deputy Monte. Thanks again for having me. Commander said it well, covered it well, referenced the crime, the cameras, and so forth. We do have, just to reference that, we do have license plate reader cameras that we put in different places from time to time, and we do solve a lot of our crimes by cell phone use and so forth in areas. So we are definitely on top of it. As far as physically putting more cameras, that's beyond my expertise. Who makes those calls? Obviously, you know, budgetary concerns and so forth. But as a sheriff's office, we'll take any leads we can get by any means. So I'm sure we'll discuss that further. We did have 3 residential burglaries at the end of October, which appear to be related to our Chilean friends, organized crime groups that have come through here from time to time. I have not heard of anything since late October, and we were definitely able to connect 2 of them. They occurred on Pisario, Benedict, and Forest Knoll, and property taken from Pisario was found in the backyard of the Benedict address, so we were definitely able to connect those 2. The third one on Forest Knoll, the people were out of town. Backing up to the Pisario address, the resident who lives alone went to bed at about 7:30 in the evening, turned off all her lights, and then she heard a loud crash downstairs, the backslider. That's typically what the Chileans do, the backsliders into the master bedroom and living rooms and kitchens. We have our investigators still looking into that, still investigating that. Like I said, cell phone information and so forth. On Churchwood and Canaan, we had political signs stolen, Trump signs, I guess, and flags damaged. We were able to identify the 3 suspects in that case, 3 young adult females, and we're working with them and the victims right now to resolve that issue. Like Janice said, catalytic converters, theft from unlocked vehicles, that is always a problem, especially the theft from unlocked vehicles. Can't emphasize enough to have people lock their vehicles. There's different groups of suspects, so to speak, that go through neighborhoods, and they'll just check door handles, and if the door handle's open, they're going to take what's in there. And if it's not open, not unlocked, but they see something of value in the car, they're more than likely break the window and take it. So, yep. Other than that, we had a maintenance golf cart stolen from the high school of all places, and video from the high school shows the golf cart in the early morning hours of 10/22 of 20 being driven out the main entrance across Canaan, and then it's out of sight. But approximately a week later, the golf cart was discovered in bushes back at the high school. So we're still investigating that, but at least they got the golf cart and everything else back. Our VRPs, volunteers and policing, are still gone due to COVID. I don't see them coming back anytime soon until this pandemic passes. And like stated last time, I think the county was only charged through March of last year was when they ended. Does anybody have any questions? I know I covered a lot of different things going on. That's about all I have.
Okay, any MAC members have any questions for Deputy? No? Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Deputy Chair Monte, for coming on and giving us a report.
No problem. We'll talk to you guys next time. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Okay, see you next
Bye-bye.
time. Okay, one quick thing. I forgot to mention during the agenda that at Supervisor Parks, if you don't mind, we have Tony Principe who would like to do a quick comment because he has to go to another meeting, I believe, with the Planning Commission. So is that okay, Supervisor, if he speaks quickly?
Please.
Okay.
Thank you. Good
Okay,
afternoon. Good afternoon, Supervisor Parks. Good to see you all. Hi there.
So let me just introduce a bit. So Mr. Tony Principe is looking. You're a developer, or you're head of Westcourt,
Right.
and he has a proposal of usage of the space in the mall, in the shopping center next to the CVS, that vacant storefronts there. And he's looking at a usage for that and would like to see how the MAC members perceive that before he goes further with his plans. And I guess you're talking to the county also. So
Right.
Go ahead, Tony.
Thank you for the opportunity. So, yeah, I've been familiar with the space for a long time. Obviously, it's been vacant for 12 years now, the former Ralph's grocery store space. And I was approached by actually the brokers on the property for a different use, similar but different use, that we have a business that we use. And so in looking at it, we're looking at it and proposing for a self-storage there in that facility. And you have a 45,000 foot, what was a Ralph's grocery store that went empty 12 years ago. And I believe Fresh and Easy came in and carved out about 15,000 feet of that 45,000 feet and tried to make a run of a smaller grocery store there, and that didn't work. So ultimately CVS stepped in and took over that space. And they're still there today. And I think have another 10 years left on the lease. The ownership is attempted to find other retail, either grocery or retailers for that space for years. And obviously that hasn't come to fruition. One of the reasons, I'm sure you're all aware of it, I mean, obviously having 3 big retail centers in that Oak Park, North Ranch area was really kind of overkill for that. And I think ultimately pavilions wound up sustaining and being there. And traditionally, even with grocery and drug anchored centers, all the inline spaces fill up pretty darn quickly and stay full because of the traffic. But even there's a lot of vacancy up in that area. And so, you know, we were looking both because of the change in nature of retail right now with the Amazon effect and obviously just the way things have changed, that demand for larger retail is kind of waned. And so what we were looking at and proposing, and I've walked the space and looked at it in more detail, was possibly doing a self-storage facility, mini storage in that space. And because of the ceiling height, I could actually add a second floor internally. You'd never see it from the exterior of the property. But you know, what's beneficial about that is it's a very low traffic generator. Generally has reduced hours from like a grocery store that stays open late at night. It's a very quiet use and very low crime. This particular space has a lot of parking. It's parked at 6 per thousand, where normally general retail is 4 per thousand. So there's a lot of excess parking that probably could be available for other more parking intensive uses in the center. And so it's something that I think aesthetically from the exterior of the building, not much would change from the exterior. There's an architectural firm down south that just specializes in self-storage facilities. And they said that this is something that's become a very big trend across the country, is repurposing older retail that maybe has become functionally obsolete, or there's been other retailers that have maybe taken up the demand in nearby areas. And so there's a lot of repurposing of retail space. The space has minimal window line, just really kind of facing the front parking lot. The rest is all block masonry, and there's loading in the back. And the nice part with, if you have grocery stores and big grocery chains and drugstores, you get those big 18-wheelers that are constantly coming in and out early in the morning and late at night. With self-storage, you really don't have that. It's more, neighborhood type of residents that are using that in businesses. So before I went too far with it, I've had conversations with the county, and they seem to feel that this was a compatible use for that. I wanted to have obviously a conversation with the MAC group and just get, your weight on this. And if this was something that would be of interest and of support. I know it's not a formal proposal per se, but there's a lot of effort and work and time that goes into really analyzing one of these and seeing how they fit. But the basic bones from the architectural firm that we've worked with says that it could work. And it seems like there would be demand there, and obviously convenient for the residents. So I wanted to just propose that and see, if it's something that the MAC group felt that there was support for, then we would go forward with it. If there wasn't, then we would explore that, maybe some different alternatives for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to just kind of open that up, and any dialogue or questions I'm happy to have with it. But, yeah.
Supervisor Parks, can we discuss that right now, or does that have to be on a future agenda?
You make a really good point, Seema, is that it isn't agendized, so you really can't have a quorum discussing it. But it is, if you have other people at public comments who want to speak, now that they know that might be it, I mean, they're welcome if you have people from public comments, but it really should be on your agenda before you give your opinion.
Okay.
So
what
would be the best mechanism for us? Let me add something. Can I add something though to that though? Even though it's not on our agenda and we don't want to discuss it whether we support it or not.
Sure.
Yet it's not something that we can do because it's not on the agenda. But a quick comment that I know has been an issue in Oak Park for a while because you mentioned storage. There's a lot of people in Oak Park that have motorhomes and don't have motorhome storage. The only one close by is the one in Agoura. So if you might want to think that as a business idea as well to maybe integrate that. I think you'll be more successful with that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That it was approached to us because we have a business called Finish Line Auto Club and a Finish Line Auto Storage, which is vehicle storage. And so it kind of started there, but it seemed the demand would be a lot greater for possibly this more traditional self-storage that you see. Doesn't mean that some vehicles couldn't be in there, but it seemed like this was, there was a demand for that type of product. There's nothing up in this area. Most of what's down in the Westlake, Thousand Oaks, Agoura areas, there's waiting lists to get into. And there's more consolidation of people in their homes, so there's more storage needs. So again, it seemed like a good fit with that neighborhood because again, the low traffic generator, low noise, reduced hours, all the things that I discussed before. So if there's other questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I mean, let me know what the next step would be if I had to actually make a formal application.
So would we, is Supervisor or Jan is there too? Will we make a recommendation then, the MAC? Would we maybe at the next meeting vote on a recommendation or yes or no?
I think at this time it really should always, use the word in concept, for that use because you will have the potentially the project before you and you won't be able to have the detail of it. So it would just be in concept, but we certainly could agendize it for our next meeting.
Okay.
That would be great. Jan, I saw your hand up. I don't know if you had a question for me or.
I just. Jana you can't really speak yet, Jana, right? Till public comments.
Right.
Okay. So do I request that you put it on the agenda for the next meeting? And between now and then you would have time to talk about it. And I mean, if you want to reach out to me, let me know what you need. I've held off doing anything much further with it till I at least had this dialogue and kind of introduced the concept. So you had time to digest it. And I wasn't looking for any answers per se today, but just more feedback any questions you might have that I could maybe come to the table next month with some answers for.
Can you send us a document about more of the details, and that we can all read ahead of time for the MAC members, right? And then
sure. I mean, I did send USEMA an email on November 4th that outlined the concept and what I had in mind. I'm happy to kind of detail that in a little bit more detail, sure. And I could resend it to you for distribution.
Sure, I have that. I can send it to Jan, who can forward it to our MAC members.
Okay. And I can add a little bit more to it since we've talked, and I'm happy to do that.
Sure.
But I think probably it would be good not to have a formal recommendation and vote on it, but just that you have a discussion and we can have that discussion reflected in the minutes. Does that sound good? So you can get the feel, but I don't think a vote up or down would be appropriate.
Right. Yeah, I don't know that I mean, if the majority of you said, yeah, we think that's a good compatible use and come back to us with a formal request, then I'm happy to do that. If you said, no way, we don't want it, it can't, then at least I have some direction as to what's going to be most suitable there. So that's really what I'm looking for. And then from that, I can kind of proceed accordingly.
Okay. So, all right. So we'll ask for it to be on the agenda for next meeting.
That would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony.
Take care.
Okay. Moving on. Now we will go back to our normal agenda, and it's Supervisor Parks comments.
Okay. Hi. So a few items that are about our Board of Supervisors that are of interest is one, you may know our Board of Supervisors is going to be changing and quite soon. Supervisor Bennett went on to the Assembly, and Supervisor Zaragoza went on to become Mayor of Oxnard. And so what we have is the Mayor of Ventura, Matt Levere, will be stepping up to Steve Bennett's seat. And Carmen Ramirez, the Mayor Pro Tem of Oxnard, will be stepping up to Zaragoza's seat. So that may be happening as early as December for Levere and in January for Ramirez. So we'll see how that goes. And I look forward to working with both of them. But it is a big change. We haven't had really a change, that big of a change in our board in a while. I also want to congratulate our MAC members, Jane Nye and Seema Chandra, for their resounding victories and winning re-election to the MAC. So congratulations. We'll have a formal swearing in, I believe, in January. So that will be fun. We also have been having a spike in COVID. I was able to get the new COVID mobile team out into Oak Park High School on Tuesday. It was kind of a quick notice, but we had 357 people get tested on that day. And it was just between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., which works out average about one test a minute. So they really went through quickly. I know we are looking to see, I don't think we have the information on those test results, but we are seeing throughout the county, throughout the state, as you know, an increase and a very concerning increase in the number of COVID cases and a real thrust to avoid gatherings in your home. That you're finding more people are getting it just from these gatherings than going to the grocery store, for example. So really encouraging that, particularly as the holidays are coming forward. You can also, I'll obviously put in another request to get the mobile unit out there. The closest drive-through site is over at Moore Park College, and we're doubling the capacity there because the line started getting pretty long. So just want to make sure that people who think they may have been exposed can go and get tested, and people obviously with symptoms, but it is part of the strangeness of the disease that people can walk around asymptomatic and infect other people who aren't then asymptomatic, unfortunately. I also want to thank you to the Elections Division. It worked out really well. They put up a voting place and a ballot drop box in Oak Park. So it really helped to see that we had the best turnout in elections ever. So things went very smoothly. It hasn't been determined yet in the city of Thousand Oaks. It's very close between who will be the second seat on the city council between Joe Price and Kevin McNamee. It was, it's now, I think, 50 votes or so between the two of them.
Wow.
And they're waiting for today to see if that is going to continue to be a lead. And that would be Kevin McNamee that's in the lead on that one. Let's see. I know that later on the agenda, you're going to be discussing your committee liaison assignments, and not the assignment itself, but just the policies of that, because we're seeing a lot of what they would call bleed. You know, instead of one individual taking care of one item, it's not happening. And then also, I mean, there's more than one individual, a lot of enthusiasm out there. And then also making sure you want to continue doing this in that fashion and have that have your voice as a MAC represented through that system that we've had in place. I think that's it. I am open for questions if you have any. Just one last thing on the camera idea. Remembering what the MAC's responsibility is to advise the Board of Supervisors. You also have some funds available, you know, to do work in your own community regarding landscaping, crossing guards and such. But realizing that crime prevention is specific to the Sheriff's Department, you can make a recommendation, you can make a request, but you just understand that is separate and apart from, you know, what the Board of Supervisors does. They determine the best methods. I have heard it said in the past that you would be blown away if you knew how many cameras were out there, Linda. It's like, there is that. We're also fortunate that we have the city of Thousand Oaks right at your border, has the same essential public safety. It's the Sheriff's Department that is doing law enforcement in our area. Cameras at intersections, such as the ones near where Oak Park is, are very likely there already. And I have been incredibly impressed with our Sheriff's Department's ability to get their, I would say always get their man, but I guess sometimes it's a woman. But it is just amazing. And I think a lot of that has to do with one, the community being a partner in crime prevention and reporting things that they see, but also the size of our county, size of our communities makes them much better for patrolling, as well as our design. We rarely have back alleys, for example, just the way that we have used our design elements. So we are talking about one of the safest counties, safest areas in the nation. So we are fortunate for that. But again, you can have the discussion at your next meeting if your board wants to, your MAC wants to. And that discussion, it could lead to a request or a recommendation, but obviously you're limited in your scope.
Okay, all right.
And like I said, I'm open for questions if you have any.
My question is, Supervisor.
I have a question.
Oh, let me finish, JL. I'll let you go next. Is it Moore Park testing? You said they're doubling the capacity. Do you know when that's going to be doubled?
Today. I think they opened up 3 lanes. I went through it just for, you know, I got some spontaneous hugs going on out in the community, and I'm going, I don't know. So I went out there. It was a 20-minute wait for me. And then I really advertised it big time, and then boom, not just me, but the word got out there. And so the 3 lines is now 6 lines, which is good. More personnel, longer hours, and they're working up to going 7 days a week. So just really making sure it's available to the public. There should be some good announcements coming out soon too on that.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, JL.
Yes, my question is on the fire season.
I think you might have 2 devices going at the same time, JL. There's an echo.
Yeah. Do you need both the phone and the video?
No, I'm good now, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I think you can hang up the phone.
No, I muted the other one.
Oh, okay.
So my question is this. So it's fire season now. What Supervisor Parks, what are the measures that the county is doing, you know, to educate and maybe get ready for the fire season? Is there any program?
Yeah, thank you for that. We actually, and I think Jan is online too, we had put together the framework for actually having a workshop in Oak Park with our fire department and just really helping the public understand how to make their homes safer, and then and recommending ways to help the homeowners associations and such too. Certainly for the county rules and regulations, the 100-foot setback from structures is still in place. If you see areas where that isn't occurring, you can let us know and we'll make sure and get our fire department out there. I know that we just recently had some goats out there, right? I saw a video of them escaping and stampeding down the street.
Mm-hmm.
We do have the ability to, if there are specific issues, for example, we have a new requirement on how you treat palm trees. If you have palm trees in your area, for example, those trunks that have all that stuff growing on them, they're supposed to be stripped of all that. I don't know what the official name is of that. Maybe Janice does, but there are some measures out there that are strengthening our protections, but for the most part, it's up to individual property owners to ensure that their homes are, don't have the potential of catching on fire because of combustible items nearby.
I have a question, Linda.
Thank you.
It's Janice. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Yes, there's a lot of discussion going on right now in Nextdoor about landscaping. I just recently finished my front yard and I actually posted it and I explained what I use for weed eater. And we've been discussing WOW a lot and how our landscaper here through PWS uses WOW. Is there some way of getting this support from the supervisors to encourage using WOW and discontinuing using any Roundup? Is there any way that we can get this more visible to the community?
Thank you for the question. The county Public Works Department was coming forward with a report on the use of glyphosate after I requested that they look at alternatives. And the county in itself, did some really good measures, from our fire departments to our airports to our government buildings. They stopped using it as a result of that push. The Public Works Department, however, is the one that uses the most of it, and they use a lot of it, for example, along roadways, and then also getting rid of in the watershed protection district areas. But the report came back, and I think you might have seen it, and I have since asked some very pointed questions specifically about WOW, W-O-W, and I'm hoping that report will be revised before it comes back to the board. The last I heard, they didn't even think it was an authorized herbicide. So I'm working with them to make sure that they know, what the ingredients are and how it is applied. Their biggest concern is financial, and so the fact that Enhanced Landscape has been able to use it without the huge increase in costs, I think can set an example for the entire county. So Little Oak Park may be the seed for seeing that, and then that can spread to other counties. So we're pushing on it. That report should be coming out probably in January. So we'll
That's awesome. Thank you so much on that. Thank you.
Thank you, and our hats off to Enhanced Landscape.
Yes.
And we also had to see the effectiveness of it, so it'd be good to get their input on that.
Well, I'll let you know how my front yard looks after a while, because we're using it.
Okay, and that is it. I think it's peppermint oil. Is that it? One of the main ingredients?
That's one of them, but not the main. But that's one of them. But yeah, we're putting it out there on my new landscape, so my gardener will let you know.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All right, great. Any other questions for Supervisor? Yep. Okay. Thank you.
My pleasure. Also, I know that we have here with us today from our county staff, Valeria Lopez. So thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you, Valerie.
She's with Real Estate Services.
Yes. Okay. Should we move on then to public comments? Is there any, yeah, Venice?
Yeah, allow people to unmute themselves if they have any.
Okay. Carolyn, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I've allowed people to unmute themselves.
Okay.
I thought,
Oh, Jane got muted.
well, you should be able to unmute.
There.
I'm not able to.
You weren't?
I'm not able to.
I'm not either.
Oh, sorry. Okay, here we go. There we go. Now you're able to.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yes.
Hello?
Oh, Carolyn?
Hello?
Okay, well, one at a time. So
Okay.
Yeah, can I start?
who
Who
is
is
this?
this?
Hello?
Yes, who is this?
My name is Henry Steelman. I'm a resident of Oak Park.
Okay. Yes, Henry. Okay, Carolyn, if you don't mind, we'll start with Henry, then we'll go to you next. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Henry.
I got two-part question. This has to do with street sweeping.
Yes.
Now, why do we need to have it in the residential area? This is suburbia. I mean, people are cleaning their own front sidewalk. I mean, but number one. Number two, who's monitoring and verifying that these people are actually cleaning the streets? I mean, last Thursday was the 12th of the month. Nobody was here. I purposely put leaves and dirt on the street by the curb, and there was no truck here cleaning the street.
It's Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month.
Well, I'm on west of the Oak Park High School. It says on Thursdays, twice a month.
So I think we have 2 different days, right? We have 2 different days, I think, in Oak Park.
Right, it's Thursdays. I think the second and third Thursday of the month or whatever. If you're, I guess the boundary is the Oak Park High School.
Okay. Yeah, I saw your emails. I understand your concern that you feel like they're not doing much work. It's not helping any at all. Is that what you're concerned with?
Yeah, man. You want to do street cleaning, do it in the commercial area, and let the commercial property owners pay for it. I mean, we're not living in the middle of LA. I mean, the place. I never see dirt here by the sidewalk on the street, and people, they clean up their own front. The front sidewalk, the front curb, and everything. What do we need a sweeper to come here? And since there were no street sign when sweeping here, I lived here for many years. I don't know when they're coming here. I just recently found out. I went to this on the internet to the Municipal Advisory Council, and somewhere along the line I saw, well, if you're on the west side of Oak Park High School, then it's I think second and third Thursday of the month.
Okay.
So they were here on the, let's see here, on the 5th of November, and that was it. I thought they come here twice a month, no?
Yes, I believe it is twice a month. So your concern is that you're just concerned that why are we paying for it? Is that what your bottom line?
Yeah, I got two concerns. What do we need it for, number one? And who's verifying and monitoring if those people actually come and do their job?
So, okay, thank you. I understand, is it Valerie? Somebody did an analysis that Jan sent that it's coming to like, what, $9 per resident? Is that per household or is that per person in Oak Park?
I don't, per person. Yeah, it's not important how much it is. It's why we're doing it, period.
Okay, well, thank you for that. We're just going to talk about it now. Oh, Jan, you said it's per person?
That's what Valerie did. She
it would
analyzed
be per parcel.
Per parcel.
Correct.
Okay, so $9 per parcel per month.
Correct.
Okay.
I wouldn't pay him $1. I don't need it. Nobody needs it. I mean, in the residential area.
I don't think it's per month. Valerie,
Per
can
year.
you let her
Oh,
know?
per year.
Per year.
Per year.
So
Correct.
$9
Yeah.
per parcel per year.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, it says the budget is 67,000 per year.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for your concern, Henry, and for bringing up that issue. So I guess, again, can we discuss that, Linda?
I would just say that, just for people's knowledge, as I understand it, it comes out to there is already an assessment in place on the homes in Oak Park, on the parcels in Oak Park. It amounts to $9 a year per parcel. That money is the money that's in your budget and can only be spent for street sweeping because that's what it's collected for. And Valerie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just want to let you know how that works.
So is that out of our property tax, you're saying? That's on our property
It is.
assessment?
Yeah, it's a combination of property taxes and services charges.
So it's not on our waste management bill or anything?
It would be.
It'd be on property
Well, I don't
tax.
think the waste management bill because
taxes.
it's different.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm sure there are different opinions out there about the street sweeping. And like Supervisor's saying, it's already been allocated, right? And that's what it's allocated for, is for street sweeping. So, but we can take into consideration though.
Yeah, but you know, maybe you can use the money for something else. I mean, it's something
Well,
that really needs to use, you know,
well,
some money.
we can take into consideration maybe that are they doing, you know, the proper work? That's, I think, more of concern to me, that if they are being paid, are they doing the right job for that? And I'm not sure how we can verify that.
Well, let me ask you, how many of the residents of Oak Park do actually know what day the street sweeper is coming?
Well, I believe
I didn't know until I got into involved. I said, what the hell we need these people for? The streets are clean all the time. And then I looked it up and I see 67,000 a year. And then it's like second and third Thursday of the month. When people park their cars outside, the sweepers come. Most of the time they don't clean anything because the cars are on the street. Not everybody parks their car on the driveway or inside the garage.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Henry. I think we're going to move on, but we can ask the MAC members if we want to discuss it and put it on a future agenda item.
Yeah. Maybe you should be more transparent as actually when they actually doing the cleaning, so we can find out if they're actually doing the job.
Okay. Thank you. So MAC members, are you interested? I know we've had a previous complaint about street sweeping too, that they were going too fast. I think that was a few months ago. Another resident said that they felt they were going too quickly and not really cleaning much. So
I have a comment, but because Oak Park High School is going to be picking up trash along Canaan, the students are not going to be allowed to pick up trash in the curb area or the street area. So I think it's important for street sweeping to continue because of that project in combination. So I do have a point of view there.
Okay, so that would be on like the main street of Canaan.
Correct.
And it might be part of the TMDL requirements to keep the watershed clean. That street sweeping specifically.
Agreed. I think it's critical. I mean, Henry, I live on Churchwood, and I do see the street sweepers because I'm working from home now. So I do see them come by. So I'm in your neighborhood.
Okay.
Right. And then I live here in Sabra, Henry, and there's a lot of houses with trees all around us, right? And so those trees will shed their leaves and will just blow to the streets. And so I think it's necessary to have the street cleaning to happen in Oak Park. But I think your question on the effectivity of the cleaning activity, right? Who's doing that, the schedule, and all that stuff. I think we should take a look at that and determine whether they're doing their job or not.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point, Jill. Also, I think his point about not people realizing it. How do we get the word out that, it is being, what dates is happening in your neighborhood. Because I notice in my street, people are not moving their cars necessarily. And so the sweeper just goes big wide turns around the cars. And so it's not cleaning a huge section of the street. And I think that's a bit of public awareness.
As part of our assignments and liaison, JL and Janice are already managing the street sweeping and landscaping. So we do have a committee for that.
Now, in other cities, right? So if it's a street cleaning, for example, schedule, they say no parking for that day.
Mm-hmm.
So probably we can, adopt something like that. But yeah.
Well, maybe then JL, like Jane pointed out, you and Janice want to discuss it since you're on the committee for street sweeping.
For publicizing it or monitoring.
Offline, you guys can discuss it.
That would be good.
Well,
Yeah.
I would like something in writing, if I could, from this gentleman. If you send me an email or JL an email.
Janice, we have emails we can forward.
You have it? Okay.
Yeah, send us several emails.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. All right.
Jan has those emails. So maybe Jan can forward it to Janice and JL.
Okay.
Okay, and you guys can do an offline discussion on that. Okay. All right. I think Carolyn, you had a public comment?
I don't know if my public comment should be when we have the agenda item about the trees, or should it be now? I don't know which, I don't have the agenda up in front of me, so I can't tell when it would be appropriate.
I think you can go ahead right now.
I can share that if you want.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I saw the pictures of the possible situation with the trees on Hawthorne, and I'm adamantly, as people know, opposed to any removal of any pine trees or topping of any of our trees. So I don't know whether there's a committee involved in looking into this, but you know that it's my passion to save the trees. And if there is sidewalk damage or street damage, it certainly can be repaired without removing or harming the trees. They are part of our beautiful community. So I just wanted to speak up about the situation with the pine trees. I realize they shed needles. I have like 6 or 8 pine trees in my yard, and I clean up needles all the time, but I'm really very, very adamant about saving any of the trees. So I didn't look at the email. I apologize very carefully about the situation, but I just wanted to voice my opinion. As you all know, save the trees. So when you get into the discussion, are we going to be able to speak at that time about it on the agenda item, agenda item 10C?
NC.
Do we allow?
Can the public speak at that time, or?
Well, go ahead, Supervisor.
Generally, the way you would handle this is not have them talk on public comments on an item that's on the agenda. And then
that's what I was worried about.
But she chose to speak during public comment. So now you have the question before you. Do you want to hear it again during the item? So.
Well, is there anything new you would add, Carolyn? I mean, we hear you, and we appreciate your
right. I saw there were pictures posted, and I apologize because I don't have that ability to put those pictures up of what the situation is. But I know over the years, as I wrote you, Seema, that the people have been concerned about the trees, and our goal, I hope, is to preserve the trees. And you understand that. So
But Carolyn, I thought you were one of the residents that was on the landscape committee.
I am, and I haven't got
any. So
I haven't got any information. I have met with Greg before and people before from the county, and I have not been a part of any, since the COVID lockdown, a part of any information. So yes,
that's a mistake. You should have been copied on the information.
I
you're on the committee.
That's right. You're right, Jane. I haven't been informed of any meetings or anything like that, but you're absolutely right. My husband and I both are on the landscaping committee.
Okay, so that might be, I didn't realize that. I was the one who did go to look at those trees, and those photos are mine that I took when I met with Greg.
Yes.
At Enhanced Landscaping. So.
Right.
And I just went out to take a quick look at those trees, that the homeowner was complaining about.
Right. Well, we've had the similar situations about trees And I just, I am on the landscape committee. You're right, Jane. And I have not been informed of any meetings, but then again, we've had the lockdown with the COVID. So I didn't know what the procedure was at the time. So I would like to be informed, and I'd like to be included in any kind of discussion or, information about it.
Okay.
About the trees. The part that's for Ventura County. As you know, I'm on the Rancho Simi committee, so I'm involved with the trees, as far as the park system is concerned too.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Carolyn. You're right. You should be included on that.
Yes.
Tree discussion.
My husband has a landscaper license too, just to let you know. So we both were on it.
Okay. My mistake. I didn't realize that I should have included you when I went to go look at those trees.
All right. So if any future, please include us. Thank you. You have my email now.
Yes, I do.
Thank
you,
you.
Carolyn. Thank you for your comments. Okay. Any other public comments? No? Okay. We'll move on to council comments. We can start. JL, do you have any council comments?
No, I don't have any council comment. I just want to say congratulations to you and Jane.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Alon, are you there, Alon?
Yep, I don't have any comments, and also I second the congratulations to you guys, and
Thank you, Alon.
no other comments.
Okay, great. Thank you. Jane?
I do have a lot of comments. Do you want to let Janice go first? Because
Sure.
I have quite a few.
Okay, Janice?
Mine, okay. Congratulations, Seema and Jane. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I apologize for not being at the last meeting. I'll be upfront with my wonderful co-members here. I was fighting breast cancer. So I had a fusion that day. So it was kind of rough, but I'm all okay. Prognosis is good. I've already shared this with Supervisor Parks, and she's been wonderful.
Wow. I didn't know that, Janice.
Yeah, I know you didn't. And I wanted to let you know that I have not been slipping my duties, but I've been keeping them up. I mean, I was working with Carolyn a lot, and that was one of the wonderful things that Carolyn and I got through, because she would even wait for me to get rest before we could even talk again. So we saved the heritage tree at May Boyer Park with all of Carolyn's wonderful work. Of course, I was there supporting her, getting the documentation that she needed, and I got the documentation from Supervisor Parks. It was a real team effort, along with the community and all the wonderful signatures that she was able to obtain. So thank you, Carolyn. Great job, wonderful job, and thank you, Supervisor Parks, for your support. I also recently sent questions to Jane that I've had, that I'm just now getting around to asking Triumpho Water Sanitation, and you have a copy of it. I know we can't discuss it because we have to get it on the agenda. So I request that this gets on the agenda for the answers to come back from Triumpho.
Just to quickly interrupt you, Janice. I understand that's not a MAC concern. So
okay, so how do we do this?
You would have to bring that up directly at the Triumphos Water District board meetings.
Can Jane bring that to the board for me?
No, you need to come to the board meeting, Janice,
okay.
And it's on Monday the 23rd.
I won't be able to come in person.
Oh no, it's a Zoom meeting, just like this.
But how do I get the questions to them?
Can she send the questions ahead of time, email it?
I'm not sure. I can ask what the procedure is, and I'll let you know, Janice. But you can certainly come and ask the question.
Well, I know, but it's very detailed, and they're going to need time. There's no way they can answer the questions at the board meeting. It's something that they're going to have to do some research on. So it would be impossible for them to respond. And I understand that, but they need it ahead of time.
So we already have the agenda for Monday. I'll ask and find out the procedure. Sure.
Thank you. And also, I provided my final script that I did, and this is where it got very confusing to me, because when I first came on board, I signed up for the Oak Park MAC representative for the Oak Park Committee with Rancho. And that was in mid-2018. And we got a lot accomplished. I mean, we've done so much with turtle rescues, ponds, trees. A lot was done. But I've come to the end of now almost 2 years on the committee. And I would like to try something different, but because I notice there's people here that've got like 3 assignments. And also I think that I want a little bit of rest and break. I did talk to another MAC member who's willing to step up if no one wants to take it or wants to volunteer to be on the committee. But it's been so educational for me of all the different places that this position has sent me to learn about governance and how we go about getting change made and support for our little community in working with Rancho. So I did tell Rancho or in writing that I would be stepping down in January because that's when Jan O told me that would be the date that the committees change over. So, and Supervisor Parks is aware of it as well. So I need to find out more information on how this is done, and I do offer my services somewhere else where it's needed. Let's see, is there anything else? I just gotten a few comments from community, of course, about the Triumph Board, but I'll follow up on that. And in Nextdoor, I keep an eye on Nextdoor. That's when I brought up the issues of the crime rate has seemed to increase a little bit on robberies, which has got me a little disturbed. Oh, and we had some wildlife visit at the community park, Oak Park Community, right in the back, sighting of did you see that, Seema? There's a sighting of one of our lions.
Oh.
Yeah, right up near the community, right in the back of the community building.
Oh.
So they are very, I mean, that's only like 3 stores down from me. So we really got to get the word out, keep those pets inside because they are really coming down into the community now. And this cougar looked very, very healthy, which is what we want. But we have to be a little bit more careful because they are coming closer to the community with our children and our pets.
Is this thanks to our wildlife corridor supervisor?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be starting soon, isn't it?
Well, I mean, we also did the lighting and that whole thing, right, last year?
Right.
Yeah, well, the neighborhood got very excited, and they're taking pictures now of these cats coming close to us. We had one up in the tree.
I think probably they have always been there, but now everyone has wildlife cameras.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, we're really enjoying it. We're really enjoying it, but yet at the same time, we got to stay safe. And I noticed your background there. It's just works right into our community. It just works right into it. And so I'm pretty proud of our Oak Park. So that's all I have right now. And of course, we'll have more discussion when we get down to the guidelines for the assignments and liaison. I'm sure I'm going to get an earful from Supervisor Parks. But that's okay. I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn. Thank you, Seema.
Janice, thank you. Okay, Jane.
Okay, first I wanted to say thank you to Supervisor Parks for the free COVID testing at Oak Park High School on Tuesday. So pretty exciting that we had over 350 tests, so thank you so much. I want to give an update on the Cayugas Interconnect project. So I've been talking to Dan Drugan, he was the project manager. That was originally planned for construction to start on Londero Canyon in June of this year. There's a new timeline because may push it out another year. They needed to move the interconnect box to the Starbucks side instead of the pavilion side. So no update on when the shovels are going to hit the ground, but it's going to be a delay. Verizon cell tower, I know we have an advisory matter, but I just wanted to give an update on that. There was an appeal by David Lilly. It was upheld on August 27th by the Planning Commission. So they said no Verizon tower off of Churchwood and Hawthorne in the Monte Carlo neighborhood. He got his $1,000 appeal that he anteed up himself personally refunded. But then Verizon filed a timely appeal of the Planning Commission's decision, and it's going to go to the Board of Supervisors in December potentially, maybe later. Supervisor Parks would know more. But it's an advisory matter that we'll discuss later, but I just wanted to give you the background on what happened there.
Okay.
Also, I wanted to acknowledge Seema for her fantastic speech supporting the Triumpho Pure Water Project demo facility. So thank you so much for taking the time to represent Oak Park residents and Ventura County. Most of the other speakers were LA County people. So it was really an awesome job representing all of us. Thank you so much.
Sure, you're welcome.
And I just wanted to mention a couple of small items that I worked on. I had a resident report that the conifer signs were appealing, and I coached her on how to submit a request via the app, the Public Works app, and the signs were fixed November 4th. So she did that successfully.
That's great.
I was also a large blue donation box was left on the side of Canaan. It was reported to me by Derek Ross. It was investigated on October 5th. The item was dumped in the grass median between the sidewalk and the bike path on Canaan Road, approximately 500 feet south of Lindero Canyon. So the item was an enroachment issue, and the complaint was forwarded to the enroachment permit section, and it was removed on October 15th.
Wait, what was that, Jane? A donation box?
Yeah, it was a large blue donation box. They drop them off at the schools, but this one apparently was dropped off in the wrong location. It was dropped off on the sidewalk on Canaan.
Okay.
So I contacted Public Works, and they helped me get it to the enroachment permit section. So that was done.
Great.
And then I attended, I think Alan Rosen is online, or he was earlier. I attended the Oak Park Unified School District meeting on the 17th. And of course, everybody's heard that Dr. Knight announced his July 1st retirement. And there's a search on for the replacement of the superintendent. He mentioned that he's attended over 1,000, actually 1,010 board meetings in his career. It was kind of interesting.
Wow.
He thanked the school board for helping him make this difficult decision, and acknowledged all the administrators, teachers, staff, parents, and students. So my kids, he was the principal at Oak Hills Elementary School when my kids started, so I've known him many years.
Wow.
They gave an update on COVID. So Ventura County's in the purple tier. Our case rate's gone up, or it has been deteriorating, I guess we should say. They will need to make some adjustments. They're not having any small groups on campus, but they are planning to proceed on opening schools January 5th for elementary and the 11th for the high school. But they will follow the state guidelines and will need to be 2 weeks in the red tier before they can open. So they're following up with parents, and noted that some students may have different teachers for the second semester. There's new guidance, and so they're working on the, exceptions, no exceptions to mask policies, no small cohorts on campus. They're following all the county and state rules. And then my last item that I wanted to bring up was the results from the trash audit that I did in August. So Oak Park Unified School District, under Tony Knight, and I really appreciate his partnership, has decided to move forward with the Adopt a Road program, and they're adopting Canaan Road. So it was a very successful outcome to the audit that I conducted, and that was begun by William Liu, who brought it to the MAC and requested help cleaning up Canaan. So I think it's a real successful outcome. And we have an advisory matter item to talk about whether we want to add trash cans, as well as having the students pick up the trash.
Okay.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jane. For myself, I just wanted to bring up again the COVID testing we had on Tuesday. I did go myself and get tested. Supervisor, that was really convenient to have it in Oak Park. And I talked to the lead there, I guess it's Shane or whoever was the lead, and he was like, yeah, they're going all over the county. They only have one mobile truck right now, but I would really request that we bring it again to Oak Park if you can squeeze in another date. I know they're filling up, because there were lines, and like you said, 357 people got tested. I stood in line about half hour, 35 minutes. I think the line went to an hour later, but it was smooth. It was, very easy. It was self-administered, so I was worried about the the brain, the jabbing up, but it was self-administered, and I already got my result today morning within 48 hours. So I think it was really well run, and I'd love to see it come back to Oak Park because we did have short notice.
I will ask for it again, definitely.
Yeah, we did short notice, right? So I mean, put it out there. I put it on the signboard, and the school district. Sure, and the school district is where I first saw it. They posted it. I follow them on social media on Instagram, so that's where I first saw it from the school district. So I think it was great because we are kind of far, being really east, and the closest is Moore Park. So people tend not to go unless they really feel they have to get tested. And I know the counties keep saying the emails encouraging everybody, keep getting tested. Even if you go once a week, they want to get the numbers down. So this is a great way to do that. And
Can I say something, Seema? Can we please have a little more information about when that's going to happen? Because I was not aware that was going on. And maybe it could be posted on Nextdoor, like Ventura County sends us an email about the COVID situation, because I would have been there if I'd have known it existed. So please get a little more information out for the community.
Yes, I think I was in a board meeting on Friday and asked for it, and boom, it was there on Tuesday. I couldn't believe how it was. So we just, what we had in front of us was a lot of social media. So, but definitely we need to have a longer lead time, and we will do that.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you.
And then I just wanted to echo what Supervisor said about the elections board. The ballot box in Oak Park was much needed. I'm glad they put that there behind the school district. I think we're going to have numbers on the website about how many people did early voting versus, actual in-day. And I don't know ballot box versus mail-in, but I spoke to many people, and many people used that ballot box. So they felt really good about going in there, putting it in directly and voting early. So that was really good. I think that's it for me for my comments. So we'll move on now to written comments. Anybody have any written comments in the MAC board? Okay, so I had that one from Tony Principe. So I will have Jan send that email to you about his proposal for the storage unit. He wrote up an email about what he wants to do, basically what he said, but a little more detail in that email. So you can all read about that ahead of time for next month. And I think we had those comments from Henry Steelman about the street sweeping that he spoke about. Okay. All right, let's move on to advisory matters. 10A, MAC recommendation for litter issues on the south side of Canaan Road. Jane, is that something?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, the school district has volunteered to have students pick up trash along Canaan Road. They're going to adopt the road. It's a formal process under Ventura County Transportation District, and we've been working with all the people in the county. There'll be a green sign posted with the Oak Park School District logo, and it'll note that they're participating in this. The students will pick up trash every other month, I believe. And again, the request from the school district was that we continue with street sweeping to ensure that the debris is picked up in the streets. The students will not be allowed to go off the sidewalk. They'll get service credits for doing the work. The question before us is, do we also want to add 2 to 4 additional trash cans that would be paid for by the county? It doesn't incur any more cost for us. They would pick up the trash just like they pick up near the shuttle locations, Canaan shuttle locations. When I did the audit, I didn't think much of the trash came from people walking and throwing things on the ground. I thought a lot of the trash came from cars and bicyclists going along Canaan, and throwing things out the window. So I didn't think adding additional trash cans would make a huge difference to the problem. But if students are going to be picking up the trash, it would be nice to have a place for them to put it. So I'm open to discussion. My point of view to the county was that we didn't need to add additional trash cans, that I thought adopting the road and having people pick up the trash would help. But I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Okay. Well, my thought, first question is, why is it only south side of Canaan? It says only going to be picking up on the south side, not on the other side?
That's what William Liu's proposal was. I personally, when I did the trash audit, when I walked it twice a week in the month of August, when it was like 115 out, I picked up the trash from both north and south sides because I live on the north side. I did the trash. I went from Lindero down to Deer Hill, both sides, twice a week. And I picked up, each time I went, I picked up two solid trash bags of trash. And within, my second route, second part of the week, I picked up another 2 bags. It was very discouraging. There was a lot of trash, and there continues to be a lot of trash.
Okay.
So if the students are going to be picking up trash every other month with a parent supervisor, we're not going to see the problem go away. It'll help, but it's not going to be solved.
This is Janice. I just have a concern, Jane, for safety. You know how fast they can drive on Canaan Road while they're doing this. And I know these are mature teenagers that are really that'll be picking up the trash. Are you concerned?
They're going to be on the sidewalk. It's going to be no different. They're not going to be in the street.
There'll be no
no
going in the
different.
street to get it.
That's correct. They're not going to be going in the streets to get any trash. And that was the decision we made.
Okay, thank you.
That's why I recommended that we continue with street sweeping, because anything that's in the gutters will not be picked up by the students.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we need to take
So what do you think about adding additional trash cans?
I don't see.
Does it have any cost for?
What, Jail?
Sorry. If there's no cost to us, I don't think it will hurt.
I agree. I think it's a nice closure.
Right.
And it certainly helps with beautification of our community, I think.
I agree. And probably if they see the trash can, they will just have to throw the trash in the trash can, right? So less picking up of trash for the kids.
Well, and I also think, I'm a dog walker. I mean, I walk my dogs every day, and I have to carry the poop back home. If there was a trash can for me to dump it in, I think that would be really nice.
Oh. Okay, Alon? Was Alon saying something?
No, I agree. More trash cans is always a great thing. So, I mean, and especially if there's no cost. Of course, it's a no-brainer.
And they'll match what we see at the Canaan shuttle stop. So they're quite nice looking, green and well managed.
Okay. So do we need to take, I guess, a vote on that? Is that what we need to do?
I think a recommendation back to the county is what is being asked for, yes.
Okay. So,
So I would make a proposal that we add 2 trash cans. I don't know, Seema, are you thinking we need to add 2 to each side?
Well, I don't understand why we're distinguishing between south side and north side. I mean, I think both sides will get equally, equal amounts of trash.
I agree.
I agree too.
But the north side already has cans. Wasn't that why it wasn't?
No, the north side has 2 shuttle stops and has 2 cans, 2 locations. The south side does have one in front of the high school.
Okay.
Oh, so Jan's saying that we already have more on the north side than we do on the south.
2 on the north side, 1 on the south side.
Okay. So should we add 2 more on each then, or you're just saying add 2 more cans on the south side? Is that the motion you're making, or?
I think
And
it would be,
it was stated there is no cost. How is there no cost?
well, it would be absorbed by the budget that's already in place. I didn't pull up the document, but I got it from the county. They said
Okay.
that it's no additional. It's already in the budget.
Okay.
It's accounted for.
There is cost,
mentioned
but
we
it's
can
already,
ask-
you have the budget for it.
Correct. There is
Got it.
budget for it today.
And you said we can ask for 4, right? Max.
Correct.
So wait, so supervisor's saying it's not really no cost. It's coming out of the budget. It's been budgeted.
It's
but-
already been budgeted.
So if we don't do it, then that saves money in the budget, right?
Not on
So-
our budget.
It's not free. Because I'm saying that the current trash cans aren't being fully used anyway. You found, Jane, that they were like half full or something.
That's correct.
So is adding more, just a little more convenience, I agree, for dog walkers and the few people who are good about using it. And the kids who are picking up the trash, the students, they're going to be having bags, right? So they don't need to have trash cans. They could take the bags back to the school and dispose of them there.
Mm-hmm, they could.
In the big dumpsters or something. So, I mean, if it's not really free, then I'm not sure I want them, because we're adding just more things on our budget that keeps having to be put year after year.
It's the county budget.
It's not our budget.
budget, Seema.
It's not our budget.
It's on the county budget. Okay. Do you want to take
County
a vote?
transportation already has it accounted for.
Okay. All right. Okay. So should we?
So we get 4 trash can?
Between 2 and 4 is my recommendation.
Okay. Should we take a vote on it then to recommend that then? Who wants to be making a motion, Jane?
Yeah, JL, what are you thinking? Or Alon, are you thinking 2 to 4? 2, 4? I don't.
I think we maximize 4, minimum 3. You said there's 2 on the one side, 1 on the other side, so maybe 3,
On each side.
3. Yeah.
Total.
Minimum 3.
So it'll be total 3 on each side then, if you had 2 on and 1 on.
Okay, I make a motion.
I think 3, but I just say 3 is 4 is great too, because we're only doing this once. We're not going to go and repeat this action next month. Things happen once in a while. If we're putting trash cans, let's just put as many as we think. All right, you went through this whole process. You saw the location, Jane. Whatever you think, if you think 3 or if you think 4, I trust your judgment on this situation. I just think we're doing it. Let's just do it right. Let's not be cheap on a trash can.
Okay.
So if you say 3, you say 3. If you say 4, you say 4. You saw it. You decide.
All right, I think 3 on each side would make sense.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody want to second that?
I second that.
Sure, I'll second it.
Thank you.
Everybody.
I'll do a roll call. As Seema Chandra,
Yes.
Jane Nye,
Yes.
JL Diaz,
Yes.
Janice Smets,
Yes. How many trash cans did you say, Jane?
3 on
6
each side. There's
6 total.
correct.
Okay.
There
yes.
are 3 currently. 2 on the north side and 1 on the south side.
So
I'll say
3
yes. I
more.
think 4 on each side would be a bit much. I think 3 is good.
Okay.
So I'll say yes to 3 on each side.
and Elon Glickstein.
Yes, I agree with the original motion.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we passed that motion, recommendation for that. All right. 10B, MAC recommendation guidelines for MAC assignments and liaison positions. So can you bring that up, Venice?
Yes, 1 second.
Oh, Supervisor, you're muted.
And Venice, you have everything you need?
Do I have, yeah, I have, this is the document.
Thank you.
So Supervisor, I'm still a little confused what we're exactly doing here. So you're saying,
I just want to tee it up, okay? We have had complaints in our office from different members of the MAC, complaining about other members of the MAC, kind of going into their jurisdictional area in terms of the assignments, right? We've had previous MAC members, none that are seated here, that were directing, for example, to use glyphosate on trails, going against the policy really of this MAC. And they're directing or using their MAC staff to push these other agencies like the Park District, like Triumpho, others, as a MAC member. And so there's also this issue would be about how you need to represent yourself if you're going off onto something that you haven't been given direction by the MAC, and make sure that the individuals know that you're speaking as a member, not as a member of the MAC. So those are two issues. We've also had some issues with the Brown Act, also making sure that we're not replying all that. That's been a pretty standard one from the beginning. But it's not our supervisor's office responsibility to try to police the different members as they represent the MAC. So I want to make sure that we have some recognized, agreed upon policies in place as to what the role of the liaison is. Should they be recommending and pushing forward things that are only those that are supported by the MAC? Or should they have the ability to go off on their own because they're the liaison and will push those positions? And I think that if you want them to represent the wishes of the MAC, then we need to really have something on the agenda so that they can find out what the wishes of the MAC are. And then a third issue too is getting into another agency's business, as it were, and really getting into details. Just because it affects the entire community doesn't make it a MAC issue. And so we need to make sure that if we're, everything from discussing the details of an item that the RSRPD is discussing, should that be at the MAC agenda? Should that be something the MAC should be discussing, or is the proper place for that at the advisory committee? So these are the kind of issues that we're dealing with. And then overall, and this is something most of the MAC members have been really good about, and that is working with my office. And you have something that you need from our county staff, go through my office, and then we, one, have a better opportunity to get that to happen, and two, we don't duplicate our efforts. And that's always something that I'm concerned about. And then third, we're all in the loop. So if we have members going and directing or requesting things of our staff as a MAC member, again, are they representing the entire MAC? And secondly, it goes out of the really the protocol that allows us to not duplicate our efforts and to ensure that we're all in the loop. So these are concerns that we're having, and I want to make sure that one, what the individual is representing themselves as a MAC member to a particularly like an agency with a direction that is first, it's generally never done. Generally you guys you're not pushing the agencies themselves, but you're actually working as a MAC, making recommendations to those agencies, but to making sure that we're all clear and understanding the roles of those committees. So bringing that out to you, you're seeing some frustration from our office, frustration from other MAC members. One proposal was just get rid of the committees. And you guys, if you have questions you want to work with, you can work with it as a group. You can give direction to a particular member to contact the CHP, if that's the case. Or you can, continue in this fashion. But I know that we have been experiencing and hearing frustration. So I want to make sure that we're clear as to what assignments are, what the roles of those who are assigned is, and then making sure you want to continue in the way that you are currently continuing. Jan, is there anything else that you would add to that?
Yes, something that,
Ask my staff member,
Oh,
Jan.
my fault. I'm sorry. Apologize.
Oh, no, not really. I mean, it's just not a new, these aren't new problems, but might be good to kind of discuss or think about these things before January.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea, if we're gonna reorganize and give other people opportunity in January, right?
I think Supervisor Parks, you stated it really well. And I think as MAC members, it's a rotating thing, right? People come and go on MAC. And I think maybe we don't get enough training. I mean, we get the Brown Act training, we do that. But what does a MAC member really supposed to do? Like, what are their responsibilities? Maybe part of it is like exactly what you said. Maybe if we had a training document, if you put that together, or a quick video, and that all MAC members needs to watch it. Because I know you kind of learn as we learned as we go along. And I think every new MAC member has their own way of dealing with this. Maybe it's just what you said about how we should be dealing with the county and other things, that we really should go through the MAC and not be dealing directly and through your office. And I don't know, maybe that was just a lack of members not understanding that.
Yeah, we could spell it all out real clearly, but also there are some questions in place here. We could put, the way we can say our suggestion on how that should work, but I think some of these are questions that you need to ask yourselves. But certainly, if you can't go outside of the Board of Supervisors aspect, like, asking for directing the Sheriff Department or directing the RSRPD department or the TS. And if you are doing that, you can always do it through a recommendation, and it should first come to the MAC. So those kind of things. I just, if you'd like, Jan and I can take a try at drafting something, and then you will have a better ability to decide which items you want to go forward with and which do not. So happy to do that.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think, and I'll think about your suggestion, and maybe the other members could, about maybe it's time to get rid of the committees if that's becoming the issue there, And
I mean, it's wonderful to have that liaison that goes to the meeting. For example, Alan Rosen comes from the school district, listens to the MAC, goes back and tells the school district about the meeting of the MAC. But he's not into the business of the MAC and, trying to get movement on things. He's just really the ears and going to the meetings and reporting back what's happening at the meeting, not changing what's happening at the meeting. So yeah, we're certainly willing to take a look at that and make some recommendations for you. If you have one MAC member that oversees a particular item, and another MAC member wants that to work on that item, that is a good opportunity in January to switch that. Just today, we're talking about if you want to talk specific questions about what is Triumpho doing, go to the Triumpho meeting. You're a citizen and you can do that. And it's really important that you make it clear you're not there representing the MAC, you're representing yourself as a citizen. You have these questions. So that kind of thing too. So people of other agencies aren't concerned about what's also happening with the MAC members. So you want to keep that, your respect, your integrity.
And that brings up another question. If, like, I'm going to be going to the Triumphal Board as a public, not as MAC, and I'm going to bring my questions. I can speak to whoever I want to, even in Nextdoor, of these questions and responses, and just caveat that this is not from MAC.
Exactly. You start off by saying, while I'm a MAC member, I am not wearing my MAC hat. This is not as a MAC member. I'm just speaking as a member of the public, and then go for it.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
It could be pretty, yeah, it could be complicated if you, particularly with these committees, right? And you're in a different person's committee and then also going. So it will make things a little bit cleaner.
And where another problem is on the budget. We have a budget with Rancho, which is in the red. So I've been very cautious of just talking to one person about the budget. But now, if that's something that you do not personally think we should be concerned about, which I think we should be, but if you say, no, this is not the place of the committee when we send you to the Oak Park committee, how is that handled? Is that handled publicly as well? In other words, you start addressing the board directly as a public person and you post the questions in next door and talk to whoever you want. See, I do not know where that line is to what that committee member does.
I would think of yourselves like a member of the Board of Supervisors. I would, because that's easy for me to do. And I have a question about something that's happening in Oxnard. I'm not going to call the city manager in Oxnard. I'll call my buddy who's on the city council because I'm an elected official. They're an elected official. And that's another way of handling it, is like talk to the other electeds, as an elected official, if it's regarding yours. It's just, my concern is more the direction that you're giving a position of support on something or opposition on something that does not reflect the position of your MAC unless they take a position on it, So that's kind of my concern, is if you're concerned about how they're going into the red, that is something that you can bring to the MAC and say, hey, I attended this meeting. This is what's happening, and this is my concern. If you want to go a step further and say, and this is what they should be doing about it, that again becomes a question of, should your MAC needs to make that discussion, have that discussion, whether they want to have how much they want to have their position represented and how much they want to make the individuals on those committees independent of the MAC.
Okay, so for example, Supervisor, we shouldn't, as MAC members representing the MAC, be talking directly to, say, the Rancho Simi Park director, like Dan.
Right.
We should be talking to the board members if we have concerns, because they're elected.
Yeah, I think that's one approach. The biggest concern I have, though, is giving direction, is putting forth a position that isn't representative of the MAC, because you don't know until you've talked to the MAC what that position is. And then there are things that are certainly that belong with another jurisdiction and don't belong with the MAC at all, getting into other jurisdictions issues. But you do have that crossover, particularly with RSRPD, that they have a park advisory committee. So I remember not getting any reports at all for a long time from that advisory committee member. I don't know, it was a while ago, but things were happening, and you weren't being apprised of it. So, and a position was being taken and you weren't being apprised of it. So I think it needs further discussion as to how you want to handle those situations. It could be a very controversial item and your liaison is making a strong position. It seems like you want to know what that is.
Okay, great. So how should we proceed on that? Do you think you and Jan will come up with something for that for the next meeting?
Yes, we'll draft some protocols, and you can decide whether you want those or if you want to finesse them.
Okay.
Does that sound good? And in the interim, if you would give us your thoughts on some of these questions I brought forward.
Okay, do you like us to email you directly on our thoughts?
Yes, me or Jan. We're a team here.
Okay.
Even, it is a little, that question about, like, I'll go and talk to my buddies that are on the city council. I just happen to have that relationship so I can talk with them, but I just really want to get out of the potential of making it look that the MAC is directing another agency on a particular issue, unless the MAC is really wanting to, and then in which case it's always recommend. It's not, it always has to be a recommendation coming from the MAC.
But Supervisor Parks, if there's a recommendation from the MAC, like say to Rancho Simi, is that going to be through like a verbal, direction, right? This comes from you, or some sort of like paperwork. And I know that.
Right. I just think a discussion, for example, it was at the community building that they were putting in that they wanted in May Boyer. That really hadn't been brought to the MAC to discuss it. And yet a position was already being brought forward. So that's just an example. And it may have been a position you all agree with, but just to have that discussion on those issues so that your representative is truly representing what he knows or she knows to be the position of the MAC. And it doesn't have to be a written one. It could just be, you know, it's acknowledged that this is what we agree with.
Okay, I see.
But again, it's up to you though, right? I mean, we can draft the protocol if you want something in writing, you know, please give us your input. I don't really have this issue with the other 3 MACs in my district, but you guys are a lot more involved with the different agencies in your community.
Okay.
You have more issues to be involved with too, I have to say.
Yep, we're a busy town, Oak Park.
Understatement, Seema. Understatement.
We do have a waterworks district in Somas, and we have a Somas MAC. And every once in a while, we have the water district. We have a joint meeting every once in a while, like once every couple of years or something. But they really haven't gotten, the MAC really has not given positions or anything to the waterworks district.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we're done with that item. And we'll move on to 110C, MAC recommendation for the pine trees, CSA number 4 maintained area. So are you, I think they're looking for, Valerie, is looking for a policy?
Like that's right, like a policy for special complaints for large pine trees are being considered for removal.
And
we,
yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
These are the pine trees, obviously on the county land that are mainly adjacent to homeowners' properties. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's correct. So we basically already have a broad outline of a policy based on our discussion with risk management and with that meeting that we had with Enhance and use, you know. So basically, if a tree is healthy and not causing property damage, then the tree should not be removed. But on the other hand, if the tree is causing property damage and it's recommended for removal from enhanced landscape or risk management, then we can consider removing the tree. But if you guys have any additional concerns, then we would like to create a written policy so we can implement that moving forward.
Okay, do we have any comments from the MAC members?
I have questions. I think I sent a few. I'm sorry, Jan, I didn't mean to mess things up. I did have some questions and Jan slapped my hand and said, don't send it to everybody. And so I thought, okay. But I did send some questions out. My concern is that once we start making a policy,
It's the Brown Act. It's not a slap in the hand. You know, it's a law. It's been something.
I know. I'm not.
I understand, but I have to say it has happened over and over. So it is really important because it can have repercussions, and it's legal repercussions. So please don't reply all. Don't have more than a quorum speaking to each other in any fashion. You know, it's really important.
Of all the documents I've been sending you, Linda, that was my first time. So mercy.
Okay. Well, first time.
Mercy. Of all the ones I've been sending you lately. My problem is, or my questions are, and my concerns are that once we make a policy for these trees, it's going to be a policy for all of Oak Park. And there are some instances which we just ran into with the heritage tree. There are some instances where that policy should not be applying. So I'm concerned about setting a policy for all of Oak Park over these few trees.
It would mainly be for that area that we maintain in Oak Park.
That tree was in Rancho Simi Park District. Your tree in the park. So we're talking about the trees in the
Well,
the county maintains.
I understand, Seema, but they do take a lead. You know, Rancho will see what PWS is doing on the other side and take that lead to how they approach things too. I mean, it's not like, oh, we'll make our own policy and they make, no, they do listen to what PWS is doing. So whatever goes here on the PWS side, you can be assured it's going to be expanded to our parks. So that's why we have to be, in my opinion, be very careful of any kind of policies with the trees, number one. Number two, on pine trees, we know you don't top them. You don't top pine trees.
Right.
So now, okay, so we have some tall pine trees, and by the way, they're beautiful. And when we had our fire, there's not the ones that caught on fire. It was our oaks that we lost. So I'm not sure what the danger is of pine trees. We do not know the pine trees that are being planted, if they're being planted at all, which is something that I brought up to Rancho on my last meeting, that we do not know what is being planted since the Woolsey fire. No, I have not seen any paperwork. I have not seen any plan whatsoever. So I did bring that up and made my recommendation at the end, verbal recommendation with the OPARK committee and Rancho. But whatever we do, I can't emphasize, whatever we do on PWS side, it will gradually seep over to Rancho. So when we set policies, just don't think it's for PWS. It will seep through.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Sorry, what's
Eva?
PWSI? Sorry, what's PWSI?
Public Works, this Chuck. You know, Chuck.
PWA.
Public Works
Oh, sorry.
Agency.
I got 26 years of government experience, and it's PWS, so that gets in the brain sometimes. I apologize. PWA.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
May I say something, Seema?
Oh, who's that? Oh,
Public comment?
Okay, go ahead, Carolyn, say something.
I learned that we have a heritage tree policy when I was working with the Rancho Simi oak or ash tree in the Mayboyer Park. And I think that should be applied to the trees that the county maintains as well. So we have, there are certain dimensions of the tree. It's not necessarily the type of tree, but the dimensions of the tree, which I believe these pine trees will qualify for heritage tree protection. And I have a copy of that, which I got from the county. That should be taken into consideration. I realize that homeowners many times are concerned because they say their fence is being damaged or their pine needles are dropping on their property, whatever. But the idea that the trees have been here when the people have moved in, they've been here since I've lived here for 41 years. I feel like we need to pay extra careful attention to whether or not they're a heritage tree that needs to come into play, and to make a general policy. Maybe Janice Smets has an idea that some policies may not apply to certain specific trees. So, and I would like to be a part of this discussion, being on the landscape committee, as I have been aware for many, many months now. So when you have a discussion that we're going to make a policy, if maybe we can have a separate meeting or whatever about this. But are you aware of the heritage tree protection ordinance?
I personally am not. I don't know if the other MAC members are.
It was sent out. We got a notice from the county that listed out all the policies from the county on trees, including the heritage tree, the dimensions and everything. I was just looking on I have the email forwarded to, or maybe Jan already has it, but we got all that information some time ago.
I provided that to Carolyn too.
Yes.
What I added another documentation in there that I did not get from Supervisor Parks. I went right to the California State books, and it was very, very detailed. And this is where Carolyn got all her phone numbers and points of contacts to continue on with the heritage tree. So there was even more in-depth information regarding it. And what was interesting is that one of the OPARK committee members, I think it was Harry Medford, asked Rancho, what constitutes a heritage tree. And Rancho could not respond. So when I got the information to Carolyn, I told Carolyn it already is a heritage tree by definition. There's no process you go through. It is by definition. So this is what Carolyn is referring to. It isn't a process that you apply to make this a heritage tree. It applies to a qualification and a criteria already established by the state of California, and there's more information provided by Ventura County. So when you pull that documentation all together, you really have all your answers. Is this a heritage tree or is this not a heritage tree? You can make that determination right on the spot.
By the size of the tree, by certain dimensions.
Right, and I don't think that this has been accomplished on these particular trees that we're discussing today.
Okay, so.
I just want to let me add a quick note on the heritage tree, because I'm just kind of looking at that. Based on what I can see is that they do specify what a heritage tree is based on the size and age, but they have specifications for trees, you know, and they have it for redwoods, for Douglas fir, for other kinds of trees, but pine trees are not listed under that. And if the tree is not listed and there are a specific list of trees that it has to be a certain size to be a heritage tree, then it's just trees that are really old. But for them, what they mean really old is from 1850, and trees have been around since 1850. And I don't think there's any trees in Oak Park since 1850.
No, that's.
So, and then that might be true, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. So I don't know if pine trees fall into this category.
No, that's not the criteria, Alan, but that's more of a detail that we'd have to get into. And Carolyn's got the details.
Right, it's called the Tree Protection Ordinance, and it's about 10 pages long with many, many different requirements, requests, you know, dimensions, types of trees, and it's from public information from the county Resource Management Agency Planning Division. So it's the Tree Protection Ordinance, which applies to unincorporated communities such as Oak Park. So they call it a historical tree. I don't know. Seema, can you see this? If I hold this up, can you see it?
No, your video
You don't have video on.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Okay, I don't know, but it's something we need to look into this more thoroughly before you make a policy of investigating these ordinances or things like this, because you know it was very obscure, and I've found it.
I've got a question, Valerie. So your request from the county is for the MAC to weigh in on a policy. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we have an idea of how to handle special requests, like the one we had recently, where the property owner had an issue with their homeowner's insurance because of the pine trees in an area we maintain.
So Seema, you met and you recommended no removal of the trees.
Yes, so I think it was attached to that. Jan sent that out, the photos I took also. And I met with Greg of Enhanced Landscaping, Valerie, and Marco, who works with Greg. So yeah, I made that determination on that basis for that particular house with those 3 trees. You know, I wasn't making
even though the homeowners came and complained about the debris.
Well, first of all, the homeowner wasn't even available when we got there, so we couldn't go inside.
But I mean, at a MAC meeting, the last MAC meeting, the homeowner did come. Right. Several homeowners came and complained in that same strip.
Several? Well, that one woman whose home we looked at, she was at the last MAC meeting. And so the debris, we couldn't see the debris because we couldn't go inside, but the trees were not touching her fence. We didn't see, Greg and Marco didn't see any cracks in that wall. So she did send a photo, but we don't believe it was a photo of that particular back fence. It might've been of the side yard. So we did not see any damage to her fence, and the trees were healthy.
Did you respond to her?
What?
Did we as a MAC respond to her? I think she was,
there's
2 issues.
Oh, Valerie did, I think. Valerie?
Okay.
Yeah, I contacted her.
So we closed with the homeowner, but the open issue is just Ventura County's asking us to help with a policy recommendation.
For
Moving
future
forward,
requests.
For any future request, do you want us to inform you for each tree, or do you guys want to create a policy where we have an idea if the property owner requesting removal for some trees, but we know it's healthy, we automatically let her know that we can't remove the tree because it's healthy based on the recommendation we received from Enhance? Or do you guys still want to be notified about the whole process from beginning to end? And do you guys still want to see the tree that's in question?
Yes.
All right, my input is that the trees in our community are treasures, all of them. And I do not personally want to see any kind of general policy put into place where there's no oversight going on by the individual tree that may be cut down. I love the idea that SEMA went out personally and looked at those trees and making a recommendation to MAC, and she did recommend one to be taken down. And I trust SEMA's judgment on that that one tree should be taken down. But I think that's as far as I'd like to go as policy is concerned. If there is something coming in with complaints, it's brought to the MAC, and one of us, whoever's available, if that person in landscaping can't do it, I know somebody else would love to go out there because we all love our trees, but we actually go out there, take pictures like SEMA did, and talk to people. And that also brings MAC and our community as a unit, as team players. I don't think we should be making decisions, cutting down trees and making policies, and our community has no way in. We're representing the community.
Well, let me ask Valerie, how many requests do you get approximately for these type of tree removals from homeowners?
So far, I haven't. In the beginning, I was receiving some requests because of fire hazard issues, but normally my first step is informing Enhance, and then they'll let me know if it's a healthy tree or if there's any issues with it. But I'd say last year I had 3 requests. It's not often.
Okay.
But they do happen.
Okay, because since if Janice is saying, she wants MAC to individually look at each request, I wanted to know what the volume was. If we're getting a lot of them, we won't be able to do that. If we're getting a few here and there, then if a member of the MAC wants to go and if Enhanced Landscaping was so nice to give us their time, especially Greg came out there himself to meet me there. That was really nice of him, and I know it takes away his time too. So that's the only thing, Janice, is do we want to individually handle each request?
Yes. And
yes,
the
go ahead, Carolyn.
The landscape committee, we should be reaching out. I'm willing to go. I have met with Greg over the years with Valerie's predecessor. I believe, I can't remember her name, I apologize, but we met over individual trees and these situations have come up. So I'm definitely willing and to go along to be and make a report to the MAC. So it is a whole community issue. I found that very much to be true with the tree in Mayboyer Park. I mean, we had dozens and dozens of emails, and Zoom people are calling in on Zoom to save one tree. So when the public is aware, they are going to participate. And unless it's an extreme danger or a dead tree, I believe that we should be informed and not make it be an individual homeowner situation. These trees have been here for years before the homeowner even purchased their home. So I would like to be included.
Okay, so may I suggest that, and I can make a motion on this and the MAC can see what they recommend, they agree with me, that if it's when Valerie's department gets a request from a homeowner, if first of all, she does have Enhanced Landscaping look at the tree. If it's a really diseased, unhealthy tree, then in the safety, and I know risk management would say then if it's unhealthy and diseased, then they would have to remove it. And I trust Enhanced Landscaping and the arborists to make that decision. But if that's not the case, if it's not a really diseased, unhealthy tree, then we would like to be informed, and we can inform the landscape committee, which includes Carolyn, to go and take a look at it and report back to the MAC.
There's a difference. There's a difference if it's just simply an annoyance to the homeowner that leaves or pine needles are falling, versus a diseased, like you're saying, a diseased tree that needs to come down. There's a big difference.
Okay. So, what do you think, MAC members?
I think we should make a motion that all issues that come in get reviewed by the landscape committee, not just ones that are controversial. I think it would be nice for Carolyn and the people on the landscape committee to see what's going on. So I guess I would lean towards notification of all issues that come in by residents.
Okay, can I get a clarification on that, please? When you say landscape committee, Jane, are you referring to Oak Park Landscape Committee? Or are you referring just to one committee member on MAC?
I'm talking about the MAC committee. Yeah, from the MAC.
So
okay, because the MAC
committee for 2021, they should be part of that conversation.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, where I'm going with that, JL. If MAC is informed, if the MAC landscaping point of contact is informed, that they should also inform the Oak Park Committee.
So
to be involved.
I don't know what you mean. I'm sorry.
What's the Oak Park Committee?
Janice, you're co-mingling Rancho Simi situations with Ventura County situations.
Yeah, I'm
you're
not.
Co-mingling, okay? And
well,
I don't see that.
Okay, but Carolyn, hear me out. When you make a decision of how to handle that tree, that's the way most trees are going to be handled. So did you want to be part of that or not?
I do want to be.
Okay.
I want to be a part of it, but I don't think there's any implication for Rancho Simi.
Yeah,
I agree. Want to be a
no,
part
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying is you want to be up there up front with any kind of policies that are starting to be made.
So
yes, I'm on the landscape
committee. For Rancho.
All right.
For Rancho, right?
For Rancho, no, for the MAC.
For the Oak Park MAC has a landscape committee. JL,
yes.
You're on it.
Yes.
I don't see Carolyn on here.
Jane, who is on the landscape committee?
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, I don't see Carolyn.
Today, well, she was appointed as a community member of the committee. It's not on the Oak Park responsibility, on the MAC responsibility, but as part of the landscape committee, Carolyn and her husband Dan were both appointed as community resident members of the landscape committee.
Can that get on the assignments so that we have their names on there?
Well, that's a MAC assignment. That's a separate thing. Carolyn, who else is on that committee that's a community member?
Her husband, Dan Barton.
My husband, yes.
And that's it? Just the two of you?
As far as I remember, it's been a while since we've convened, obviously, and that I've been involved. It's maybe been almost a year. So I apologize. Okay. You know, the activity came to a screeching halt at the beginning of this year, and perhaps we met, you know, last year, 2019, at the end of the year. I honestly don't remember, but I went out with people to look at trees from Ventura County with Enhanced Landscape with Greg. So several different times. Jana Orkney went along also. She may be interested, but I'm not sure now.
Okay, so I think we need an agenda item for next meeting to discuss the landscape committee and you know, make it clear if Jan, if you're still there, to discuss what is the landscape committee, because you know I think we have new MAC members, we're all confused, and set up, you know, who's going to run a meeting with them and how often the meeting should take place. So then when the county gets these issues from homeowners, we have a regular landscape committee that's been meeting, who can deal with, you know, go out and look at it and then report back to the MAC. I think the MAC still makes the decision.
That's right.
I agree. But I think it should be all issues that come in, not just controversial ones.
Okay, do you want to make that motion, Jane?
May I ask to clarify, you mean all landscaping issues, Jane?
Yeah,
I
that come
agree.
into the county.
All landscaping issues. That means like when enhanced landscaping tells us there's dead trees and they come to us, it should go to the committee.
I think they should be notified.
Yes,
Okay.
that's been the problem. We have not been notified in any way about these issues.
Okay.
Because that helps with consistency. And they're also, we're including people who are residents and not on the MAC. I think it's important for us to get it consistent. And I think that's what Valerie's asking policy-wise, that we have a committee that meets and drives policy.
Okay. I think go ahead and make a motion, Jane.
Are you making it seem? Oh, go ahead, Jane.
I didn't know, Alon, was there, I wasn't sure whether I saw green bar come up over by your name. I wasn't sure whether I was stepping on what you wanted to say.
No, I'm just listening to you guys, and I was waiting to hear your motion to see where this is going to go. It's a little bit overkill for me, but I'm entertaining the motion, so go ahead.
I mean, I'd like to move that that we get the landscape committee reconvened and identified and included in all decisions regarding landscape that come in through the county, and that it's the committee reviews it and brings it to the MAC.
Okay, I second it. You're muted. Lenise,
All right, forgot. Seema Chandra,
yes.
Jay Nye,
Yes.
Janice Metz,
Yes.
JL Diaz,
Yes.
Elon Glickstein.
No.
Okay, 4-1. I guess the motion passes. So, so Jan, if we can add that to next month's agenda about discussing the landscape committee and understanding, how it's going to be, who's going to run it, and how often they meet. And then Valerie, that's going to be our policy then, is that when you get these landscaping issues, they will go to the landscaping through Jan, through the landscaping committee first, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
We lean it.
Okay, got it.
What about the question for the to the homeowner who's asking us whether they're gonna be cut or not, or cutting the tree? Is that already resolved?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been resolved.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, let's move on. Last one, 10D, MAC recommendation.
Thank you, Valerie, for hanging in there, and sorry it took so long to get to your part in the agenda.
No worries, it was a pleasure.
Okay, the Board of Supervisors appeal of the cell tower. So is that, Jane, did you request that or?
Well, yes, I'd like to request that the MAC draft a letter. We drafted a letter to the director of the Planning Commission against the cell tower. And now that it's going for review to the Board of Supervisors, I would request that the MAC draft a letter to the Board of Supervisors against Verizon's appeal.
Okay, so, and is there any discussion on that? So you're basically.
I just want to say we already agreed once, and I think that we should send a letter so they know. We reiterate ourselves. I agree with that.
Okay. All right. Okay. You want to make a motion then?
Okay, I move that the MAC draft a letter to the Board of Supervisors against the Verizon's appeal.
Okay. Anybody want to second that? Okay.
Sure, I'll second it.
Okay. Alon seconded.
Okay. I have roll call. Seema Chandra,
Yes.
Jay Nye,
Yes.
Janice Metz,
Yes.
JL Diaz,
Yes.
Elon Glickstein.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes. So I guess Supervisor Parks and Jan, is that something I need to do then? Sign that?
Yes, the last one was sent by you. Do you have a copy of your last one? If not, I can forward it to you.
Yeah, I should have a copy of that.
Okay.
So you think we just, I mean, we need to just say we're reiterating that, like, you know.
I think you just change it from who you addressed it to the planning director to change it to the board of supervisors.
We'll do that and get your signature.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, long meeting today, but thank you everyone for hanging in there. I'm not sure if we're meeting in December. Do you know, Supervisor, if we're meeting in December?
I think only if there is an item that is timely. Jan, other than the storage facility, is there anything else?
I don't know. Things may come up.
Okay,
Don't
so
rule it out.
we'll let you know. How's that?
Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving and be safe. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
Denise.
Valerie. Thank you, Venice.
Thanks. See you.
We'll be
Bye.
soon.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.